Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to a very special edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. We're getting ready to talk a full season of television. And if you can't tell, man, I've gone and blinded myself, much like our lead character in the television series we are getting ready to talk about today. So let's not waste any more time, man, because I think my hat right now is a dead giveaway, and I want to be able to see things soon, because, man, being blind is not fun. Yet this guy, it don't stop him from doing anything, man. So pull up a chair, take a seat. I am, of course, getting ready to talk about season 3 of Daredevil, and oh, what a season it was. So much so that the man without fear deserved a little Seaman tribute, if you will. But oh man, Charlie Cox and this whole crew, man, they got something great going on here in season 3. For me, this is probably like just coming off of fresh expectations after just finishing watching it. This is easily, I think, the best thing that Marvel's done in the television universe. This is really putting on display what years of building can deliver, right? Like, most of these seasons, the first seasons have been tremendous, right? Season 1 of Daredevil is still my favorite of the Daredevil seasons. Same with Jessica Jones, same with Luke Cage. But the thing is if you build enough and you're around long enough, you get to a season where everybody is operating on peak performance level, and that's what Daredevil season 3 is, man. Adapting the Born Again story in such a way that fits so well in this universe. They really, really did an absolutely excellent job all around, man. I really was blown away, man. This season puts you on the edge of your seat. It gets you hyped up. You get excited for things that could be coming down the line. You get to see things that we've been waiting to see for years. It was just so good. So we're going to dive in, man, to a little non-spoiler review on Daredevil Season 3. Just kind of go through some of the stuff, man, that just really popped. And it starts with the action, man. The action in this season is absolutely phenomenal. It is top of their game, man. And I like that it's a slow build. Even though we get some of the best action early on. Matt is obviously recovering from the building collapse at the end of The Defenders. And he's up in the his old church, kind of recovering there, and it is grisly, man, watching him recover, man. Some of the stuff that he does, really, like, you just go, oh, no, oh, that doesn't look good. And it's interesting to watch him do that, right? Because he's lost some hearing. He doesn't have his full abilities at his beckoning call as he used to. So watching him refine that is kind of really cool. And the season does build kind of slowly in that way. But once he gets himself back out, man, we hit episode 4 and we get some of the best action we've ever gotten in a Daredevil season, man. Episode 4 is definitely the one to keep your eye on. It involves a prison, and I won't say anything more than that, but let's just say that this is season 3's hallway scene or stairwell scene. This one is in a prison. It'll be known as the prison sequence, and it's unbelievable, man. At Comic-Con, I had mentioned that the director and showrunner there, that they had said that they had asked Jeff Loeb for a day off to cancel shooting so that they could rehearse. Because this is basically one steady cam, and the choreography and the way they pull this sequence off, it's the size of the scene is massive. I personally didn't think it was better than the hallway scene, but it is right up there, man, with all three. I mean, all three of those are just like 1A, 1B, 1C, like, they're so good, and this is one's excellently crafted. And you get to really see Charlie Cox and his stunt double, Charlie Brewster, at their peak. Man, they rock out in this scene. And the shooting and the way they come in and out is so flawless, man. It's so good. So definitely keep your eyes on episode 4. And then when you get to episode 6, there's like a secondary villain, obviously, right? Because Wilson Fisk is technically under arrest. And the secondary villain runs into Daredevil in episode 6. And we get one of the best one-on-one fight sequences I've ever seen in any of the Daredevil shows, man. It's classic. It is literally, you're on the edge of your seat, like, every time, and I got to see this at Comic-Con, so it was a little spoiled, but they didn't show everything. The stuff that surrounds the scene, I was just like, wow, man. Everything that surrounds anything big in this this whole season. Any big moment is just surrounded by stuff that just builds it so well. And this one, man, you're on the edge of your seat every time Daredevil goes to make a move. There's something that you're like, oh no, man, like it's so good. And those two episodes really are the big pops for me. And there's lots of pops, man. I mean, the in episode I think 2, during there's a car sequence that happens, and at the end of that we get to meet somebody, and that scene is unbelievable. And then obviously by the time we get to the finale and we get to our ultimate showdowns, the action is smash mouth, wrecking ball style, but raw emotion. The emotion of the finale is unbelievable, man. And it all starts with that. Like I said, it's a well-paced season. The whole season is paced so well, but it's a slow build that even though we're getting maybe peak moments early on and scattered throughout, the general arc of the story just builds and builds and builds to its climax, and it delivers in a big way and in a big emotional way. This is easily the most emotional, gritty story for Daredevil as Matt Murdock finds his way, post Defenders, and it's brilliant to watch, man. Charlie Cox does an unbelievable job on the acting side. Him and his stunt double Charlie Brewster, they're so good in the action, right? And sometimes you can tell who's who, and sometimes you can't. It depends on how it's cut and what's going on. But I mean, when Charlie Cox is doing the action, it's Charlie Cox. He is rocking, man. And the stuff that Brewster does just elevates the scenes so much. It's so fun, whether he's being like detective action, where he's like investigating and questioning people, or he's just smash mouth breaking faces, and he does a lot of face breaking. You get a real angry, visceral Daredevil in this season, more so than we've seen in the past, and it's all of the raw emotion and stuff that Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock is dealing with. Just wonderful, and his storyline sets up so many wonderful, offsprings. For great storylines for Karen. We get a really nice glimpse at her real backstory, and where she comes from and who she is, and her storyline throughout the whole season is really solid. As her and Foggy are kind of working out a tandem with Matt because they don't know Matt's around for a good chunk, and once they do know he's around, they start to work together. All of them have something to do, right? And Karen's storylines take her in some really awesome places. She has a scene with Vincent D'Onofrio where Karen and Wilson Fisk are talking, and it's easily the best stuff that Deborah Ann Hall has done in Daredevil, maybe in her entire career. The scene was chilling, man. I was just sitting there, I was like, wow, Deborah Ann Woll has really stepped her game up, where she is matching and sometimes even exceeding what Vince D'Onofrio is doing. And Vince D'Onofrio, we're going to get to him. Wow. But yeah, Karen has a really good storyline. I loved Foggy's storyline, man. Foggy makes, as things start to unfold, Foggy decides to make a very aggressive move, and it puts him on display in more than one spot where he's speaking kind of publicly. And oh man, Eldon Henson just does a wonderful job, and he really crushed it this season. I was so happy with Foggy. Every time Foggy was on, I was, there have been seasons where I just want to get to Daredevil stuff, but I was really intrigued with what was going on with Karen. I was really intrigued with what was going on with Foggy, and the stuff that they're doing, the different plans they come up with, and how that all plays out. I thought it played really, really well. And when you finally do get to see the three of them, interacting with each other in the second half of the season, you get some really nice moments of like, oh man, remember the good old days. But it can't all be peachy all the time. This is a really heavy season for sure. And they definitely take it big places. And that's because Vince D'Onofrio is back in full comic form, man. We see Vince D'Onofrio take Wilson Fisk to the places everybody has wanted to see Wilson Fisk take him. Heck, man, you don't even see Vince D'Onofrio in this season. Wilson Fisk is embodying Wilson Fisk to a degree that is better than anything that he's done before. This is some of the best work I've seen Vince D'Onofrio do. He is terrifying. He is vulnerable. he is so smart. I mean, he is 8 and 9 steps ahead of people in this season. And the way it all plays out and how you learn what's going on with him, just so well done. And as I go through all of these different characters, man, it's because the writing is phenomenal. The way they adapted the Born Again story, just so well done. There's one, there's some differences and tweaks, right? Because this is an adaptation, and it has to fit within the world and the universe that we've built. And there was one moment where I thought they were gonna stay comic accurate and really take a big chance and like do something that would blow people's heads, like your head would have literally exploded. And it doesn't play out that way. And for a minute, I was like, "Oh!" But the twist they put on it really works effectively in the story. Really drives us towards the back third of this, of the season. And everything they did to adapt just works well within the universe that we've already established in the Daredevil seasons 1 and 2, and in the Defenders. The adaptation is so good, and these characters pop big time. But there's also 3 new characters that are really good, and we're gonna start with Jay Ali, who plays Special Agent Ray Nadeem. And we meet Agent Nadeem pretty early on, struggling FBI agent, due a promotion, but he's got lots of financial problems, so it hasn't happened yet. And he gets the opportunity to run the Wilson Fisk detail after getting Fisk to, cooperate finally. He hasn't cooperated since he's been arrested. But, Fisk, he's in love with Vanessa, wants to assure her safety, so he opts to cooperate. And the ride that JLE takes you on as Nadeem is fantastic. You really empathize and get him as an FBI agent early on. As the story unfolds and he's manipulated and used in ways that affect him both mentally and emotionally. He has just a really great story arc, and down the back third, man, JLE absolutely crushes it. Just working with everybody on screen, I really thought that he made Special Agent Nadeem pop big time. And his on-screen presence with Wilson, with Daredevil, just so good. He fits so well. He fit so well within the group context that's been pre-established with Daredevil, as do the other 2 that added on. And Sister Maggie, played by Joanne Whaley. Wow, man, she does such a great job of embodying Sister Maggie, man. Just everything you would want to get from her, man. She provides the things emotionally that Daredevil needs, and it gives you sneak peeks into his life at the church when he was a kid, and everything with her story. I won't say much, but it really plays really well. And then there is Wilson Bethel, and I raved about Wilson Bethel after Comic-Con, where they announced that he was playing Bullseye. And obviously, if you've watched the Daredevil shows, if you watched any of these Marvel shows on Netflix, you gotta earn your title. So we don't get Bullseye right out the gate. We get Dex, Officer Ben Poindexter. And Wilson Bethel is phenomenal, man. He's got lots of things going on upstairs, man, and he plays all of it so well. The way he can control himself to snapping in an instant to just being visceral. Everything that goes into his character as he builds to being Bullseye is great, man. The action sequences that he has with Daredevil, the twist that he has within the story is just really awesome. The Bullseye elements to him are fantastic. Every time he's on screen doing Bullseye type things, he pops. I love when he's on screen with Wilson Fisk. They have some unbelievable moments. Again, raw emotion runs rampant through this whole season, and Wilson Bethel delivers a ton of it. His story is really interesting, man. They get you to empathize with the guy as he slowly starts to unravel, and where he ends up and how they kind of hint at the Bullseye. There are 2 places where they hint at it. The first one is kind of like a flashback, and you're like, oh, that's nice. And then where he ultimately ends up, the way that they tease Bullseye, I was just like, ooh, I got goosebumps, man. Like, that was something that I didn't expect, and it was a way that I was just like, oh, yes, that's awesome. Very similar, as bad as Daredevil was, the original movie with Ben Affleck, when Colin Farrell kills that bug at the end of Daredevil, spoilers, when he's in the hospital with the needle, you're just like, Oh yeah, like he's still. Oh man, and this wraps up with this version of Bullseye really popped for me. And that's what this season is, man. This season really thrives on the character stories, the way that the character stories intertwine, and how it ultimately tells this born again story for Daredevil that's really comic accurate in some ways, but adapted perfectly for the universe that they're in, man. You just get so many amazing moments, and some of the best ones come from the action, but some of them, man, are the drama. There are some really intense emotional sequences in this season that are just phenomenal, and all around, man, from the action to the acting to the execution, behind the screen, to the writing, everything this season just seemed to culminate in a way that was wow. I absolutely adored season 3 of Daredevil. I thought Marvel Netflix did an unbelievable job, man. Absolutely mind-blowing. They really paced it well. That they made it work. They got it to dive into so many different stories and keep it all relevant to the story, so that it was always building to something, even when we're doing flashbacks. Excellent job. If you haven't watched it yet, get on your horse, man, and watch Daredevil season 3. It is so good. That's all the Seaman has to say in his non-spoiler review of season 3 of Daredevil. Excellent stuff, man. We got some of the best stuff from everybody, and it was wonderful. Now it is your turn, man, to tell me what you thought about Daredevil season 3. Did you think it rose above everything else that Marvel Netflix has put out there? Did you think that the prison sequence deserves to be in the conversation for one of the best action sequences in all of Daredevil? Tell me everything that you liked, man. If you got spoilers, just label them as such. But there is a spoiler video coming, so you can definitely go rampant there. But if you have any spoilers that you want to drop here, just call them out. But tell me everything you were liking, disliking, digging, not digging about this season. So many things went on. It was really just a lot to intake. And I mean, I watched 3 episodes one night, woke up and watched the remaining 10 all in one day, and it was tremendous. But you know me, man. That's it. That's all we gotta say. You hit the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And as always, if you're new here, hit that subscribe and little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman, and I'm signing off. Peace. Hey, still here, guys. Well, so is the Seaman, and I'm here to remind you that the fun doesn't have to stop. You can keep it going with just a couple clicks of a button. So make sure you check out videos either here or here. And if you're new and haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button over here.